Hi, everyone, and welcome to the show that really doesn't have a name because we haven't christened it anything official. Hudson called it the Hotty Toddy News. That's because he looked at the YouTube channel and some other things and just popped that out of his mouth. I'm calling it the Hotty Toddy Podcast, and Taylor hasn't really come up with a name. I'm Andy Hodges. That's Taylor Hodges. And yes, we are related. I just can't grow a beard like that. And Hudson Miller, who's an intern, does the great job on Instagram, which, by the way, has grown to one of the really big players in the Instagram field. It's what, Hudson, 1 point something million.
Well, we're averaging around 1.2 million views per month on Instagram.
Well,
So
that's
yeah,
just
we've
in the
grown it
growth stage, but yeah, we're getting there.
100%.
And our Facebook page is really growing big, is fast growing, getting close to 100,000 followers. You can add to that by following and like and subscribe on YouTube. So anyway, we've got this is the second show I believe that we've done on this, and we're just trying to figure it out. And I think Taylor sent me show a showrunner, whatever it was, some ideas for the show earlier. Did you
Oh,
send that, or did who, or am I having
no, you're not
dreams?
having an old man moment. I did send some ideas for questions.
Yeah. All right. So we're basically going to take three things and go into it today. Uh, and the first one is one that I have already written a story about on HottyToddy.com. I've talked about it to some people. There's a lot of people that think I'm crazy, that that's not, you know, I'm wrong, which that's fine. I may be wrong, but don't tell me I don't know what I'm talking about because I know my opinion. And this is my opinion and it's based, but we'll start with you guys first. What is the most important game coming up on Ole Miss's 2026 football schedule?
Mm.
Taylor, we'll go to you first.
Okay, so I think I know what Andy you're gonna say, and Hudson. I mean, I don't know, but I do want to say that I think that the since we're using the word important, that it comes later in the season because that's when the where the important games tend to happen. Early things that happen early in the season can be overcome by stuff later in the season. So therefore, I circled two games kind of later in the season that could really be the most important games, and I'm going to go with the one that is going to come against Georgia at home on November 7th. Georgia is still Georgia. I think SI put out their top 25 today and had them at number 3. So there's that's still going to be one of the best teams that the Rebels face this year, and so I think winning that game would be very beneficial to the Rebels in terms of trying to get into the playoffs. So the Georgia game is my answer.
All right, Hudson, go ahead and tell us why Texas is the most important game on the schedule.
He guessed it. Yeah, I look. There's a lot of people that think that LSU is going to be.
FYI, timeout. You and I have not discussed this
No,
previously.
we haven't, and it's so funny because yeah. Here's why Texas is the most important game on the schedule. I think LSU is going to be a matchup, but that's week 3. There's so many different things that can happen towards the end of the season. If we have a loss against LSU in the thought process that we have a loss there, Texas and Georgia, those are two very important games that keep us from going 9-3, as well as Florida, and Auburn. I think Auburn could be a tough game. I think Mizzou could be a tough game. But as far as importance, Texas on the road. If we have a win against Texas on the road, it helps us so much in the polls. In that case, that we are 9-3 coming to the end of the season. I also think that's going to be our toughest matchup coming into the game against Steve Sarkisian and that offense. While I think that we do have a higher chance than most people are saying, I think there's a lot of credit towards Arch Manning that Yeah, he had a great season at the end of the season last year. But I do think that there is conversation, at least on that Ole Miss game. Everybody's skipping over that. So, yes, I do think it is an important game. I think Texas can be a great matchup.
All right, mine's going to be rather obvious. And no, it's not the LSU game. That's just going to be a big party in Oxford. And you're going to have everybody connected wearing the blue and red. They're still going to be probably fueled with a little extra fuel uh, for that game. That's just an interesting game. That's a side note. It's like Hudson said, it's number 3 in the season. There's a lot of stuff that can happen after that, and we can't account for injuries. We can't account for a million things. To me, the most important game on the Ole Miss schedule is number 1 in Nashville against Louisville. Not that I think Louisville's this great juggernaut. We don't know. Like with Ole Miss, like every other team on Ole Miss's schedule, with the possible exception of a couple of gimme games, we don't know how good Louisville can be.
Yeah.
They had a very good team last year. And the expectations that everybody around Oxford has for this Ole Miss football season, after losing one regular season game last year, coming within a game of playing for a national title. Mm-hmm. The expectations this year, as we had the other day when we were talking about what's y'all's expectations to define what could be in other words, it's almost not acceptable to y'all. And it's winning a championship, which is fine. I like having that kind of attitude. I think if you're not playing for a championship, what are you doing? You're doing like some of these schools that are just playing to get a trip to Memphis and Liberty Bowl, or Birmingham and whatever that bowl game's called over there now. Ole Miss stumbles coming out of the blocks in Nashville. There is going to be, number 1, a run on every bar on the square in Oxford. And it will not necessarily be a party, a happy party. There will be a lot of people really upset. I do not want to be on the streets of Oxford if they lose that game. There's going to be a lot of pissed off people.
Yeah.
But they can get the expectations kicked off and going, and there's no faster way. I've seen teams come into seasons with these huge, grandiose expectations, some of them justified, some of them not, and have that pin stuck in the balloon of those expectations first game of the year, and not necessarily against a bad team, against a good team, and the whole season be viewed as a disappointment based on that first game. So that's where I'm going, is that first game of the year, they have to come away with a win, or there's going to be a lot of people that are upset. And that could just doom the rest of the season and make everything else we're talking about, the last 12 games, the last 11 games, just kind of whatever. So that's mine. Anybody else got anything to add following up before we close that out and move on?
Let's move on to the next topic.
Good. The next one is, and you guys are going to have to give me some names because I don't have a roster sitting in front of me. I was scrambling to get in here somewhat close to time. Which newcomer? What, Taylor?
I was going to say,
are you just waving to be happy?
No, can y'all not hear me?
Yeah.
We're
just wondering why the hell you're waving.
Well, I was just going to say that I'll try and send the questions, give you more time than a couple hours to look at the questions.
Yeah, okay.
I bet I didn't give you enough time, but go ahead.
Which newcomer for the Rebels needs to be the most impactful? Hudson, we're going to you first on this, since I figure you know the roster better than I do.
Yeah, I think there's some players on defense. I think Luke Farrelly taking over that linebacker position, filling the position that TJ Daugherty did last year. I think that that's a huge role. I mean, stepping into a huge leadership role as a middle linebacker is very big for that defense. I think another leadership role, and it's not necessarily the most important, but it's in that receiver room. I think Jonte Cook and Daryl Gill Jr., both as newcomers, both having lots of experience. I think that there needs to be some impact as far as their presence, not necessarily on the field, but also in the locker room as well, leading other guys. And that's, I guess those are my players. What about y'all? What about y'all?
Well, so the way that I look at this question is to what players need to have an impact to give Ole Miss a better season than last season, and to do that, that requires an improved level of performance at certain positions. The defense, though, to me, is where most of that improvement needs to come from, specifically in the run defense. Now, I think Ole Miss finished, I think it was number 69 in the nation in run defense last season. That has to improve, and I think that Hudson, you were close to saying who I was going to pick when you started talking about linebackers there. But for me, the answer is Keaton Thomas, the linebacker from Baylor, had over 100 tackles the last 2 seasons, was first team All Big 12 last season. And I think him in that position at the linebacker, he needs to keep doing the 100 tackles a season trend. And someone like that having a big impact and a big, good season will improve the Ole Miss run defense and therefore improve the entire defense as a whole. And that would allow Ole Miss to go to greater heights than it did last season. Not that there's a lot more height to reach, but still.
Yeah, I think that Coach Pete Golding did a great job recruiting those 2 linebackers. He recruited 2 very aggressive linebackers to take over those roles. And seeing the way I've watched some of their game footage, I've watched Keaton Thomas when he was playing at Baylor, as well as Luke Farrelly. Those guys, man, they are very aggressive linebackers. Very good off the tackle ball, like off ball tackles and stuff like that. Like they're incredible. So.
All right. Well, mine is Farrelly. Number one, the hoopla over him just getting to Ole Miss,
Yeah.
all the hell that created. Uh, he better perform. This better not be a dud. And I don't think it will be. I mean, he's got the talent, like you say, he's most aggressive. And I was close to being a smart aleck on this and saying it's not really a player as much as it's a position, and linebacker is the position that I've identified that needs to be the most impactful, that has the most number of new guys playing that position. Ole Miss needs linebackers that can step up, that can defend the run, can drop back when these teams go send everybody except the cheerleaders out in a pass pattern. Everybody has to be covered, so they need to be able to do that too and cover the intermediate ranges. How many times in these spread offenses today do you see somebody dragging across the middle that they catch it and then it's off to the races, and here you have a big play on a 5-yard pass downfield?
They're build their entire scheme around that specific concept.
Yeah, I mean, that's the Bobby Petrino offense that's people have talked about. Is always have a bailout on that or a wheel route. Those 2 routes kill people. They're death. They can be death to a defense because you don't have the athletes to cover it. I think Ole Miss is going to be improved stopping the run with both of these guys at linebacker. Not that the guys that were there last year were terrible, but I think this is an upgrade at that position, that the whole linebacker group. All right, the third one and the last one. This is a good question, Tyler. Did you come up with these off the top of your head?
I'm proud of this one. Go ahead.
Would you rather beat LSU and miss the college football playoff, or lose to LSU and make the college football playoff?
So I know my
Taylor,
answer.
you take it first.
Okay. So I know my answer. I really, I don't have that emotional attachment to Ole Miss. So I'd say lose to LSU and make the playoff. The ultimate goal for the season is to make the playoff. So yes, you want to beat LSU because it's Lane Kiffin and all that hoopla and everything like that. But you can overcome that loss in the selection committee room by winning out or winning most of the rest of your games and making the college playoff. And I think that, like we talked about yesterday, is the bottom line of what a successful season for Ole Miss could be, making the playoffs. Now, y'all said a little more than that, but that's my answer. Lose to LSU, but you make the college playoff.
I agree with that. I think that, like I said earlier, this LSU game is important, but there's so many other games that we need to be that Ole Miss really needs to be focused on. And like in the case that LSU does end up being a loss for Ole Miss, I think that there's still a lot of different potential. Taking down Georgia, taking down Texas, winning your games that you need to win, like that are just you're in favor of, and not pulling a Kentucky in 2024. I think that there's other games that are just as important as LSU. I think LSU's riled up because of the media, but yeah, Andy, what you got?
All right. The LSU game is about nothing except emotional. It's an emotional game to a certain extent, and LSU won't admit this. It's an emotional game for both sides, both teams in that game, because LSU wants to go see we proved it. We stole your coach away and a couple of players, and now you can't beat us. Uh, Ole Miss, well, they just want to stick it to Lane Kiffin. I mean, I wouldn't be down on that field without full armor on because hey, they may have bad aim and can't strong arm it to where Kiffin is, whatever they throw, and you shouldn't be throwing things on a field. It's ridiculous. But then again, I nearly got hit with a whiskey bottle at Razorback Stadium when I was 15 years old. That somebody threw out of the stands one time. So, yeah, it's nothing new that's been going on. Nevertheless, it means absolutely nothing in the pecking order in the final finish of the season. Ole Miss could still go 11-1 if they win all the rest of them and lose to LSU. Yes, there will be some diehard fans that hate Lane Kiffin so bad. I don't care. It's a terrible season. We lost to LSU and Lane Kiffin. Oh, go sit down. You're in the college football playoff, 11-1. Okay, you lost to it. It happens. It's college football. You can't control everything that happens. So no, do I think it's a death knell? Me, if Ole Miss loses to LSU and makes the college football playoff, successful season. If they beat LSU and do not make a playoff run due to another repeat of the Kentucky game or even the Florida game later that year, okay, not a great season, in my opinion. Not a great season at all. You can agree or disagree, weigh in with your opinions. You can comment freely on social media on all the platforms where we post this thing, and I don't even know all the places these guys put this stuff, but it will be there. And one of these two will probably read your comments on there. Me being nearly 70 years old, I'm not reading it. It's not that I don't care what you think, it's just I'm not going to read it. So we appreciate you commenting and liking us and helping us grow as we've slowly developed HottyToddy.com, and I think we're ready to move to the next level And 3 great questions like this, guys, were really good. When are we doing the next one? Just out of curiosity, this is some live table talk here.
I think we had said Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So on Friday. And
Oh, is today Wednesday? Why do I keep thinking today is Thursday? I don't know why that is.
well, you might know the answer, but
Okay, good talking to you today, Taylor. We'll see you.
Well, I got the power to kick you. You can't kick me. So, but no, we'll get this posted around 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock Friday evening for your weekend enjoyment.
All right. Thank you all for your support. Keep watching, keep listening, and most of all, keep reading HottyToddy.com. And it's kind of redundant to say it, but Hotty Toddy as we sign off.
Hotty Toddy.